stationed under a sign that read, "No re-entry beyond this point." But there was more to it than just his physical appearance. It was his voice, stressed and cracked, and my automatic response that sent a red alert to my red-eyed brain. "Business coming through, money on the move." Maxwell Harding's absolute favorite aphorism, which I'd heard him utter numerous times at Alison's work functions and holiday parties where spouses were invited to attend. She'd explained that it was a line from a bad off-Broadway play he'd invested in that barely made it through previews before closing. That one line was the only thing of value he'd salvaged from it, she had joked. "Hey, you, stop!" I yelled, instantly realizing how ridiculous that sounded. Just like a horror movie ingenue calling "Who's there?" into a darkened basement. But Harding, if that's really who he was not about to stop. I sensed a nervous acceleration in the man's pace, but that could just have been my own imagination playing tricks on me. In fact, the bastard clearly had no intention of doing anything except disappearing through the tempered glass door that separated the friendly skies from the rest of the world. And when he did, he would be lost for good. That was the jump of absurdist logic my mind was trying to deal with. Because Maxwell Harding could not possibly be a JFK, not today or any other day. The son of a bitch had died in the same fiery crash that had taken my amazing and brilliant Alison, a horrific event that had suddenly carved a dark void in my world and left my daughter without a mother. As the TV news reports kept reminding me for days afterward, the Lamborghini Aventador Italian V12, 700 supercharged horses, 7-speed automatic, had all but melted from the intense heat, although much of the lightweight carbon fiber body had held up against the raging inferno. Extreme multiple injuries was how the official certificate had listed the cause of death, and the grisly implication of those 3 words had fueled my vivid imagination for months afterward. I'd spent the early years of my career as a photographer for the Associated Press, back when news outlets actually paid people with cameras to chronicle the world's events, rather than shell out a few bucks for an amateur snapshot taken with a cell phone. I'd covered many of the world's hotspots, captured hundreds of pained faces and grim atrocities that remained indelibly imprinted in my memory. A deadly earthquake in Haiti, the start of the Arab Spring in Tunisia, even the devastating wildfires in Colorado. Even though I had not been on that stretch of I-80 in rural New Jersey that night, the blazing moment of impact was burned into my mental receptors like any prize-winning photograph. Besides, there had been no doubt my wife had died in that crash. Her dental records had confirmed it. Same with Harding. End of story. Yet here the bastard was. Except there wasn't a chance in hell. Not possible. No way. That sort of thing fell into the deep category of DENIAL. A good dose of which I'd put myself through during the days after the crash. I had told myself there was no way she'd been strapped into the passenger seat next to Harding. Alison would not have gotten into a car with him, not after everything he had done and all the federal charges he was facing, even though the camera on the second level of the parking garage on 6th Avenue showed her sitting beside him. Harding easily could have dropped her off just 2 blocks later and picked up someone else. And the simple gold band and charred engagement ring found fused to her wedding finger could have belonged to anyone. Whatever pitiful tricks my brain played on me after the accident, none of them were rational. Eventually, I accepted the inevitable conclusion that my wife was not coming home, and there was nothing I could do to turn back time. Alison was dead. She was gone. And after the memorial service, I'd flown down to Charleston to scatter her ashes on her favorite beach in the world. Sabrina, our daughter, had come with me, joined by Alison's parents and a dozen family friends. If the tears that had fallen and the prayers offered that day weren't proof enough, the empty space in our bed when we arrived home confirmed the bleak and dismal truth. Alison was not coming back. On top of all that, why would Harding be here at JFK on a Saturday morning in April? In his former life, he'd kept a leased Learjet out at Teterboro.